Hello and welcome to the Dog Savant Podcast. My name is Brett Endies. I'm a professional dog trainer. This podcast is for you if you are a dog owner looking for dog training and behavior advice, if you're a client in the real world looking to supplement the work we are doing, and if you're just anyone interested in dog training, puppy training, dog behavior, life of a professional dog trainer, this podcast is for you. I always ask, please don't forget to share, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. Let me know how this podcast has helped your dog. If you have any questions, I love them too. It's the only way that other people can find this, and the purpose of this podcast is just help as many dogs as I can, sharing the same information that I've shared for many years now with real world dog owners, and they've reported to me that it works, so I assume it will work for you too. So thank you. And with that said, we're almost at the end of 2020. It's been a crazy year. Of course, as you can tell, if you do continue to listen to this podcast, I'm not the most consistent content creator here. But, I just try to take some time out. I just feel maybe I'll this year try to be a little more regular, and the feedback I get and the incentives of me knowing that I'm helping more dog owners and getting more people to hear about this podcast. That's a big reason too. I want to, it would make me want to kind of continue it. But nonetheless, I want to each episode share, valid information, tips, training information, on just how to address behavior problems, training goals, puppy training. That's a big one. I've been talking about that a lot lately. Just in an applied way to, either resolve problems or just have your dog listen to you better. And that's, with puppy training, I want to continue on that track because here in the pandemic, I've seen more puppy cases in a year's time now almost than I have ever in 27 years as a professional dog trainer. And I've always seen puppy cases. I've always had, maybe 25 or so % of my book at any time had puppies in it on a weekly basis. But now it's the opposite. Now it's 75% puppies, 25% adult dogs, problem behavior cases, rescue dogs and whatnot. So I've learned a lot just from the experience. I've developed a very strong system that's working great, creating a good puppy training foundation for owners through my online training, which is the primary way that I'm meeting with people, now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you're listening, of course, I can help you even if you're not local to me. I operate both in Colorado and California. I'm right now at my Colorado location, just kind of riding things out in the mountains here. But again, I can help you online as well. So let me know if you're interested in that. Just reach out to me at my email, and you can, with any questions, just anything, that I can answer or just share on this podcast, please reach out as well. And that's dogtrainingla@gmail.com. Dogtrainingla@gmail.com. Okay, so what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about puppy biting, mouthing, nipping, teething. I mean, I've talked about it in many podcasts, especially puppy training and how dogs can get overstimulated by everyday life. But I don't think I've dedicated one podcast specifically to it. And as I said earlier, I do like to make this content for my clients. So if they say, "Hey, Brett, what do we do about nipping?" Where we, maybe it's like a recap of what we did in the session, or to give them, just some quick tips, I'll send them a link to these podcasts. So that's why I like to do this, just to try to hit on every common thing, and that's a biggie. A lot of times dogs will nip on, or puppies mostly will nip and bite. What is nipping? It's when they're using their mouth on people. Not so much chewing, teething, where they're chewing furniture and wood and things that they shouldn't. It's more of, somebody's walking across the room and the dog has this inclination to track their movement and bite at them. And if you want to call it herding, very similar how you see dogs and puppies play with each other, and that is appropriate within reason because they're the same species, kind of going back and forth. But when they're doing it to us, or when we're petting them, they start biting us because we're petting their head, or they're getting stimulated when there's a new greeting. We have to address the mouthing for what it is. So that's the first part of this, is understanding why the puppy mouths, because a lot of people will interpret it as, that's just what puppies do, or it's just they're teething or mouthing. And again, if they're teething or mouthing, which is really, I don't see that. I've trained a lot of puppies over the years, and I don't really see it as like they're in such pain, and you can give them chews and things to divert their attention but usually they're just distracted. They're being mischievous. They're curious, that's why dogs will chew things around the house. And that's a whole, we talk about the structure for puppies. I think in the last episode, or one of the previous episodes, that's where that's all about. But when it comes to directing it towards people, even if you're holding a leash or the clothing we're wearing, there's more meaning behind it. So a lot of times it's just a natural instinct to follow, react to, and if you will, herd and nip at the movement of something, and it's okay to do it towards toys and other contexts, but not towards people. So that's, where we have to do training to it best prevent that, and at the very least react to it, so it discourages it, so it doesn't elaborate and the puppy thinks that that's something that I get away with, because it's not an excusable behavior. I don't care if your puppy's 8 weeks old, because they would learn quickly if they tried to bite on, the mother dog or one of the more dominant puppies. They'd get told quickly, and usually not do it again, that this is something that you don't do. It's a limit to how we're going to interact. And you don't have to be so aggressive like another dog would be. This is more of, again, we interject place training, more structure, physical boundaries, not letting a dog follow us everywhere and running up to us, and petting them in smaller amounts at times where they can only handle, or not petting them at all until they're calm. So it doesn't, because that's the other reason why dogs will bite. They get overstimulated and they're just trying to modulate their energy. Like, I'm so revved up, I just got to bite something. You'll see that a lot with greetings. When people get them all going, they're biting, and you try to push their head away, and they'll start licking too much. It's all that oral fixation, if you will, towards something as a symptom of just too revved up. So we have to have the dog be calmer, not do things that are going to encourage the dog to get so stimulated where they have to now, result to biting and jumping. All these type of issues are directly related to that, especially when it's movement or new transitional time. So you're tracking movement, controlling movement, new events, getting too stimulated, or you're playing, everything's fine, and they get so revved up they start biting and mouthing. So that's, again, understanding what's happening there. It's not like he's just randomly biting you. He or she, your puppy, is actually reacting to so we have to be, okay, too much, that's it, you went to the higher level of getting excited, time to get you to be calm. And then we just kind of just keep coming. So you do place training, like get them take a little break, calm down, try again. And every time they get to the extra level, it turns into something that is now not just excited play or happy to see someone, and the mouthing or nipping and other behaviors stem from it. That's where you apply the place training. Now, I'm not going to get into the how-tos of place training, because I have so many episodes. I don't even know how many I talk about. I have many. If you just look at place, I want to call it another place training podcast. So I do a lot, because it is a big foundation of creating structure in a home, but even in an outdoor environment, for a dog to just learn how to just self-soothe, reset, decompress, be calm on command. And in a lot of cases, just that's the way they have to exist in a lot of shared experiences, especially when they're puppies and just can't handle too much freedom too soon. So that's the other reason. Sometimes it's misdirected, and again, we're not talking about aggression. That's something else, and I'll talk more about that in another episode. But this is more a dog's just mouthing, biting, teething. Could be different degrees of how hard they do it or how intense it is based on the dog's personality or what they've gotten away with over a course of time. But yeah, I'm just here thinking on the fly of where, again, misdirected, you're playing fetch or something, and they start that, but that's sort of like, you can correct that, but that's sort of like, again, they were going for one thing and your hand was there, and they just, so you still correct it, but that would still be different than, well, my dog's biting me because I'm walking across the room. Or when the kids are playing in the yard, the dog wants to start biting on them, and then the way the kids react and run away, and it just leads to it more. So we have to, maybe when the kids are playing, have the dog. I have a lot of cases like that. A lot of these doodle dogs. Oh boy, do I see a lot of doodle dogs. And they are, they're herding. They like to react to movement. A lot of that standard poodle, the working breed, and it's what makes them fun and exuberant. But again, they can quickly misdirect it when kids are just running in the yards being kids. And the kids sometimes, you have to tell them, well, just maybe be calm to start, or wait till the dog's under control. But the dog has to learn, hey, if you're going to interact with the kids, this isn't part of it. And then you phase out of all this structure and strict and limitations you're giving the puppy, where then they can learn, hey, it's got this happy medium where I can be excited and happy and play, but there's certain behaviors that are just getting curbed or corrected as they come, or preventing them from the start. And main ones are biting, jumping, mouthing, anything that is just too much, whether we like it or not, or want to excuse it as something other than what it is. That's what I call bargaining with nature. You're reinventing the wheel of what dogs are because of your feeling about it, or what you as a human have a personal preference of, or even as far as want to think your dog is outside the box of how the instincts of dogs operate based on many, many thousands of years of genetics driving them. So nonetheless, that's a lot of it. So in a nutshell, I don't want to go too off topic here, but it really is, you need more structure for your puppy if it's an excessive problem. If there's a specific situation that like, well, it's just when my dog greets someone or my puppy greets someone new, they get mouthy, when they first see them and start petting them. Well, let's work on structured greetings. We have your dog calm first, lead them to the door. You make them sit so they don't even get that opportunity to just run up to the situation and get so revved up, unbridled with no control. And even if they did, you still get them under control and get them back into command, into a place or a sit, and only getting attention. Sometimes it's like, well, you're just going to stay in your place for the whole time the guests are here because you have such a bad habit of not being able to sit still when you see new people. That's going to be step one. And then we phase you into eventually not needing any structure, but you still can find this ability to see people. My dogs, when they greet me, I'll make, I think I've made videos of it where I greet them, I'm happy, I say hi, they're wagging the tail, much reacting to, oh, there's a new person. But it's like, if I ignored them, they're fine with that too. Or once I'm done petting them, they're like, okay, cool. Or it's like they enjoy it. It's a preference, but it's not an impulse or an obsession, if that makes sense, hopefully. So anyway, that's a little tidbit on mouthing. That's kind of, and I try to recreate these podcasts how I explain it to my clients. I know mostly my clients are the ones listening to this, so hopefully that is doing a good job, or maybe a few other ways that I'll explain something that we'll talk about in our sessions, and it just gives you another twist on it or a little more insight just to help you. So hopefully it does that, especially this puppy mouthing, because I feel I'm going to send this to a lot of you guys here who are dealing with this. And other podcasts too that'll further talk about this. But place training is a good supplement to this podcast here because it is really the preventative antidote for biting, and then just how to be a good pack leader and just making the roles clear that we're not someone to bite, and then working on things where they're just logistically learning to be calm when around. Like I said, it could be kids playing, new situations. They get hyped up when they're playing with something, and then they have to learn how to self-adjust, how stimulated they get by you intervening here and there when they get to a certain level. So all these things. So hopefully that helps. Again, please don't forget to rate, review, share, subscribe. I figure I'd share, I guess I already did, but I'm here in Colorado. I'm just driving here. I'm going to see my daughter here. But, it's just riding out the storm here of 2020. Hopefully everyone in LA is staying safe. Anyone else listening, hope where you are is you're making the best of things. I very much appreciate all of you who are keeping me existing. I'm able to live still and be useful to what I am for, my whole life basically as an adult. My identity is the dog guy, the dog trainer, Dog Savant. And to not do that, I've said it before, the first couple months of COVID was downright not only terrifying, but it was the anxiety and discontent I was feeling, like I described your dogs can feel without structure or purpose, and direction. And so really I appreciate you, whether you're someone who I've worked with in the real world, someone who just is listening and has written a good review. Of course, my clients, all of my online clients, my real world clients, I'm seeing currently. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'm helping you and giving you value, because I know it's not easy for a lot of us. So hopefully I'm giving you what you're hiring me for, and then hopefully then some. Okay, guys, thanks again. This has been, I think, episode 97, probably. Don't hold me to it. But anyway, have a great day.